Oh, good morning. Good morning. Happy Tuesday to everybody. Thank you for coming on and watching today. So today on the index card of the day, the prompt is decoupage. And to me, that just means collage. I don't really know if anything is, if it means anything different. I can look it up. But honestly, I'm just going to go with what my heart tells me, which is that collage and decoupage are the same thing. Because I actually have a bottle of some sort of glue stuff. And I think it's called Mod Podge, actually. Collage Podge. This stuff, and this has been around a long time, and as far as like the company and it's made by Aleene's, right? They're like a big glue company. And so I have this stuff. Honestly, it's a hit and miss with this. I like Liquitex better. Okay, so I'm just gonna say that. I do have this in the store, this guy in the store, but I like Liquitex, which I also have in the store. And I'll talk about the difference I'm going to talk about the difference between these today, because this is going to be a little bit of a, let's talk about collage and what it is, as far as Anna knows, in the world according to Anna, okay? So, let me set up my timer so I don't ramble on for more than I need to be rambling. So, and then we're going to do some collage also. Okay, so, it's really just, applying paper or some sort of medium to another medium using glue. That's what I consider decoupage, right? Or collage. You're just taking little bits or big bits and you're just putting them down using some sort of glue. Because what you want to do is you're creating a new surface. And so there's a lot of benefits to doing that. If you're working on an old book and you're using that as your altered art journal and you want to make a new surface, you can make the paper a lot more stable by adding more paper. So I'll show you an example of that. In this book, there might be a paper in here that is kind of old and kind of flimsy, or this paper, this is kind of flimsy. It's not even old. It's just a piece of, this is actually a piece of craft paper from packing paper, or you might have an old book page, and it's just kind of thin, and it needs some more support. So what you can do is you can collage on that, and by using the glue, and using, which is the collage, the matte medium, and applying some paper, you're adding layers, which is adding stability to that paper. That's what I did with this one. I added this on top of this piece of craft paper. I like the craft paper for the color, but I want it to be a little thicker and easier to work on. So that's an example of why you might want to add some papers to a piece of paper to make it more stable. You might have an old paper like this. This looks like it's about to fall apart. If this was in a book, you might not even want to put this in a book because it's so thin and old. But you can definitely decoupage it in, or collage it in. I'm going to say collage from now on, okay? Collage it in, and it will add all of this texture and all of these words and all of this this idea of, to me, it's like you're adding in that history into that page. And so under the layer, even if you cover it up with paint a little bit or something, you'll still be able to see some of that through. And if you personally know that it's there, then it's personal to you, and that's great, right? To me, that's really important. I really like to use old patterns. I've talked about this before. My background is in quilting, not sewing, but quilting. But there aren't really a lot of really old quilt patterns out there that look nice. So I really love, a friend of mine sent me a box. She keeps sending me boxes of old stuff. And so it has tons of patterns in there. And I have lots of friends who collect vintage patterns or just have some laying around. And so I love the patina of this paper. I love the drawings. I love how normal pattern paper, tissue paper, is perfect for decoupage. Collage. I'm going to mess that up again. For collage. And it's thin. It melts into the page. I love the lines. I love the bossiness of the paper. I love how it says cut here and put the selvage here. And and there's arrows, and it's just, to me, it's so fun. And there's so many patterns out there that are just clothes that people's are never, ever, ever, I promise, ever going to make or wear. And so being able to take this tissue that people would have just thrown away and turn it into something as a base layer on paper, on cards, and do something with it is, to me, just the most exciting thing to be able to do. So whenever I collage, I do it a lot. I really like to use 3 things that are really personal to me. I really like to use pattern paper, tissue paper, because, like I said, it's a great way to, it's a great substrate for just, not even substrate, it's a great product for collage. It works so well. Also, it talks to my sewing background, my roots of my quilting history. I know it's weird. It's sewing, it's not quilting, but still, whatever. To me, it works. I love to include music paper because I played the flute for a really long time. Middle school and high school, music has always been something I really love, and so I always include music in my, I try to always include some sort of a music paper in my collage. And then I really like to include book paper, not just because book papers are so neat and they're old, and I have tons of old books, of course, and I love to paint on it, and I love to include it, and I love words, and eventually I've started collecting some dictionaries, so now I'll probably start actually putting in words that actually have more meaning to me, but to me, a lot of them are just about that, the words in the background, having that, some sort of words going on in there. So like this one has book paper and music paper and a little bit of that tissue. So in this one, I actually did this morning during my reel, but you'll see that in a little while later. I actually took some deli paper and crumpled it up. Deli paper is just real thin, waxy. It's not waxy. It's made for using in the deli when you get a sandwich, but I have a whole box of it that I use to put in between pages so it doesn't get paint on everything. And I crumpled it up, and I used some matte medium, and I glued it down. And then I'll go back later, and I'm going to add some ink on top of that once it's 100% dry. Ooh, stamping on the pattern paper would be really cool. Yeah, book paper is really good for stamping on too. I've done that. That's really nice. I did that on one of my. This isn't pattern. This is just an old. That's actually stamped on old just a piece of a bag or something, craft paper. But yeah, you can definitely stamp on stuff. That would be really cool. So, okay, so, and I have to remember to get my stamps out sometimes. You know, I don't always remember that I have stamps, even though I have a whole bunch. And I always think, oh, I have more of them. They're all at the store. But I have I have a good collection going. And whenever I buy stamps for the store, I try to think about what the direction that I want to go with the store is, that I want to buy things that can be used in this sort of environment. We can use it in stamping on our art journals and our mixed media and things like that. So words that have meaning, so stamps that have really meaningful words or inspiring words or pictures that are something that can add more texture. Like here's one that looks kind of like a burlap or a linen or some sort of texture on fabric. This is a Prima stamp from Finnabair, and these are neat. There's so much there. I have to learn how to stamp them better, but I have to remember that it's a circle. That's the problem that I have when I stamp it. I'm like, oh, it has that ridge, but that's the part that I have trouble with. But so you know, but so I really like when I was making my cards for Index Card a Day, I started prepping some cards. I made a whole bunch of them with backgrounds with my distress inks because I was really curious what the distress inks would do. And then I went back with some pattern paper and tissue paper, and I just decoupaged, collaged it over the top. And then that became my, I'm going to pull out some of the ones I've already done. That became my background for my future project, for whatever the prompt was for the day. So, like this one is tissue. You can see the tissue in the back there that was dry brushing. That's a book page that I stamped on. So you could just see, like, it's just decoupage is just a part of part of my world as far as mixed media goes, right? Like, it's just a completely natural thing to have that on there. I've really been enjoying using my stapler, though. This is all a tissue page over a background, over the whatever I did on the background, and then I went over the top of that. So there's a lot going on with, it can add so much texture to it. If you, oh, I messed all of these up all the order of these up. Okay. So, I'm running out of space for all my cards. That's not a problem though. It's funny because it's like, oh, I just do one a day, and then I did 4 of them today because it never hurts to collage like 10 cards at a time, right? I mean, I always have that problem. It's like the chips and the dip. Like, I put out the matte medium, and then I'm like, well, I have more matte medium, now I have to decoupage more, or I have more ephemera, now I have to do just one little more spot, you know, one more little spot. Here's one. Somebody mentioned that they're gonna keep their index cards close by. So, I mean, if you did the index card a day, you're only using like 61 of them. So you should have, and you have 100, so you would have 39 left. Yeah, I did math. You could just keep those close by in a little basket. Like, see, I have these little baskets. This is my finished ones, and this is my prepped ones. Oops. These are my prepped ones that I've already done. And so you could just keep, and then I have another box over here that's just my, these are my not even used ones. And I have some in here that are actually just, my husband uses index cards for his notes. And so when he's done with them, he gives them to me. And so it works out pretty well that way. And then I can just keep them close by. And if I have a bunch of ephemera or random collage bits, which I can tell you I have a lot, I can just have a good time, like, collaging some of these backgrounds. So never a shortage of collaged backgrounds. So the funny part is, I had this awesome deck of cards that I bought at Goodwill, and they're coat of arms. They're really weird. And let's see if they're in here. Yeah. I started doing them. I started collaging on them because they're great. They're not slick like a normal deck of cards. They're not shiny. And, you know, I mean, who cares? I don't care about, you know, coats of arms of British people. And they had this nice little box. And so I just started playing with collaging the backgrounds of them. And I took a bunch of them, and I actually wrote some that were finished. I wrote and I stamped, and I put some really cool prompts on them for art journaling. Like, it might say, use collage, or it was just some sort of prompt that told me what to do. You know, use a pen or use a Stabilo or something like that. And so I have a whole bunch of cards somewhere that have this isn't even like half the deck, right? There's 52 cards in the deck. And so these are the ones that I finished, but I didn't write the prompts on. These are the ones I haven't finished yet. And I don't know where those cards went. I can't find them. And every time I go to do a journal day, I'm like, I go to do a random journal prompt day, I'm like, where are my cards? And I can't find them. It makes me so sad. So I'll find them someday, hopefully. Really, really hopefully, because otherwise I think my iCads are going to become my new art journaling prompt pages. Maybe. They're also, because all the prompts we've been doing would be really cool for art journal pages too, but I like to just pull things and just randomly do them. So these are the ones that I've actually done today. I did my reel on them. Not that one. You'll see that later because I didn't even have a chance to post it yet. So you get a sneak preview if you're watching this live. If you're watching this later, then no. But actually, so I usually do, like, I did 4. So I'll probably pick 1 to be my official one for the day, and then the rest will just go back in the pile, and then I'll do something on those later. All right, so, okay, so then we talked about kind of like what you can collage. I mean, you can literally collage with anything, right? I started putting together a couple of bundles, and I might have mentioned this before, But I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with these. I have like 5 of these, but I could probably make 300 more. They are just little booklets. And I'll tell you where the inspiration for this came from. And of course, it was from a YouTube channel. I love watching Tiffany Goff-Smith, Southern Gal Designs, and she's adorable. She posted a new video today too. And she and a friend did what's called a flowish book. And I'm sure she said she got that from another video that she saw. But, and I did one with my friend. Now, there's a whole design process that goes into creating these flowish books. But here's a flowish book my friend gave me, and I made one similar, and I gave it to her. The best part about it is you're just putting ribbon in here, and then you're taking your bits, your Ghibli bits, or whatever you call them, from all over your table and all around your room, your painted papers, and you slide them under the ribbon so that your friend can just go in and pull them and use them as they feel inspired to pull and use. And she was doing the flowish book with her friend, and they were each once a month or something, they were taking something from that book and making something in their journals with it. So my friend Sarah and I did this, and the best part was that we both included pattern paper, which I've already used. We both included little ribbons and some sort of fibers because we're both quilters, and so we both included all of that in there. I mean, she's got all kinds of really cool stuff in here, and it's so fun and inspiring to just flip through it and grab things out to play with. So I thought I would create some little flowish books. Can't really call them that, but I created some using an Amazon envelope because I have so many of these. And so I created like a mini flowish book, and I even have like a little pocket here. So there's lots of little fun things in here for using ephemera for getting started if you want to get started with collage, including napkins. Napkins are really fun to work with. So lots of really fun stuff in there to start with. So there's that big one, and here's a small one. And a small one might have even the same amount of stuff in it, but it's kind of a little bundle. So I'm not really sure exactly what I want to do with these. I don't know if people want to buy them. I don't know if people want me to just, of course, you'd probably like me to just give you one. So if you order from me, and you say something about, hey, can I have some ephemera? I'll send you a pack of ephemera if you want, because if you say, hey, I saw your live and I want, I'd love to have some stuff for collage or something like that. Just put that in the comments when you check out, and I will send you a little goodie bag of ephemera stuff, because I have plenty. I have so much. I can just give away some for about 10,000 years every day. So, right. So what we said was you can collage with pretty much anything. If it's not moving, you can probably collage it. I have collected tons and tons of these, of just bits of paper. This is tags. I'm thinking I'm going to do something with those. I go through this. I've actually sorted through my ephemera not that long ago, the other night, and it helped me. Sometimes if I feel kind of stuck creatively, I'm like, I don't really know what I want to work on. What do I want to do? I'll just go through and sort my stuff, or I'll organize my craft room a little bit or something like that. And so the other night I was actually just sorting through all my tower. I have a whole tower of drawers, and most of them are designated for either printing, paper to print on in my gel printing, or paper to rip up and use for ephemera or collage. And so I sorted through all of that, and I kind of sorted through these I have three of these that are this size, and I have 2 that are this size, because these are the little tiny ones. And then I have another thing in here. I have this one, and this is like the even tinier pieces because I cannot throw this stuff away. Sometimes I do. Shh, I don't tell, but there's stuff in there like that would have been that's probably a really good piece for patterns. So the ones that are torn and ripped like that make actually better for collage because they are already pulled apart and they have rough edges, and I like rough edges. Okay, so what kind of glue can you use? You can use any kind of glue. You can use, if you don't like messy, you can have a couple different options. There's For messy, which is what I prefer, which dries and then it's done, I like the Liquitex acrylic medium, matte medium. And I learned that there is a difference. And I was kind of like, why do manufacturers make stuff and why do they put it in a jar versus a bottle? And Liquitex has jars like this too. And then I learned, because I research things and I look at things, because it doesn't tell you this in the description on stuff. I had to figure it out on my own. There's different viscosities. That's a fancy word, right? So look, there's like, this is not going to move. This is thick stuff, and it's multimedia matte from Ranger, from Tim Holtz, and, well, it's not from Tim Holtz, just from Ranger. This stuff is thick, and it's made for holding thicker objects. Like if you have a book that you want to glue in together, use this because it is thick and it's not going to move. There's that. Then, and Liquitex has the same thing, and I have it in the store. It's called matte gel medium. So gel is the stuff that's thicker, right? Gel is not gonna flow as much, right? And so that's fine. You scoop it out, it works. I save this because it's not a super big jar, and I want to get the most for my money. So I save this for things that I know that I need to stick down that are dimensional, or like I said, if I'm sticking pieces of a book inside of a book. So that's what I save that for. The matte medium, which is this one, it's more fluid. So it says here, fluid medium, right? That's actually listed on the bottle. Can't speak about whatever other companies. This is the one that I know about, okay? So it's Liquitex, and I have this in the store. The fluid medium is definitely just liquidy. Like you can shake it. You can pour it out of the bottle. I like that it's in a bottle. I think that makes it easier to use. And you can use it a little bit easier, and it just goes on, and it's like a liquid glue, okay? It's also great when it's matte. You can look at matte versus gloss. I was using a lot of gloss medium before because that's all I had. And gloss is definitely going to be glossy like this. It will give you a shiny gloss finish to your page. This is all done with gloss medium because that's what I had at the time. And I glued it onto I collaged all of these pages onto a canvas, and that became my background for my book. So it's definitely going to give you a gloss finish, but look, it's almost like leather. It's this really neat feeling to that page. And so I love the gloss for doing a book cover like this, because it gives you kind of a finished feeling. The matte medium will definitely be the opposite of that. It'll be more matte. It'll still seal it. It's still a sealer. It's just not going to be as shiny. And so I think about how in the old days when we used to get our pictures printed, and I used to always get mine matte so that they wouldn't have fingerprints, so that the fingerprints wouldn't show up. If you got the shiny finish on your pictures, it would have fingerprints. So I always got the matte on my pictures. So that made me think of that. But so the matte medium is definitely going to give you that matte finish. It'll make it a little easier if you want to apply any sort of other paint over the top. Not really, because like acrylic paint doesn't care, but sometimes it can make it more like a primer than really more like a finish. But it is going to be a sealer. Okay, so if you don't like messy, and let me say one more thing. When I do use any of these, I put gloves on, and I use them over and over, and I use a palette knife, because I've tried using a palette knife without gloves, and I still end up with matte medium all over my fingers, and I have very dry skin, and so it will just mess with my fingers. So I'm just done doing that, and I just put the gloves on, and I accept it, and I've gotten used to them. And so, and then you know what? You can be a little bit more adventurous about what you do, because you can touch stuff and not worry about your fingers getting all gluey. So that's what I do. I recommend wearing gloves, and I keep a few pairs of gloves just over on my table, and I grab them. And these are not really made for being reused, but I use them over and over until they're just disgusting or they break or whatever, and then I throw them away and use a different one. Okay, that's the matte medium. That's the sticky stuff. That's the liquid stuff. If you don't want to do liquid, if you don't want to do sticky, and I mean, it's still gonna be sticky, but messy, then I would suggest using a glue stick, because a glue stick works just as well. And I've seen a ton of beautiful videos and beautiful projects that people do using just plain old glue stick. And this is not a plain old glue stick, though, let me just say. This is not your normal Elmer's, okay? This is, so here in Texas, here in Houston, Texas, our weather is sort of humid and hot, and sometimes it's dry, sometimes it doesn't. I don't know. But we tried using Elmer's with one of my son's projects for school, and nothing was sticking. It wouldn't stick. And so I was like, fine, I'm getting my Oohoo. So I got my Oohoo glue out and started. This stuff is serious glue, and it will not, and it's a big glue stick. It's a decent size, so it'll last a while. I got out my glue. Yeah, so we use that for his project, and I use it for when I want to do decoupage that I'm not, or glue something down that I'm not worried about if the edges are perfect. Like, that's what the thing about a glue stick is. You may not be able to get it completely perfectly to the edge, right? You can if you do it on a scrap piece of paper, and you're still going to get a little sticky because that's how it works. But and thanks to Tiffany from Southern Gal, because she's the one who recommended using this, and so I started using it because of her. Yay, Houston girls! And Texas people, and so that's what I would recommend if you want to do kind of explore collage and you don't really want to do something messy, or you want to be able to just sit on your couch and do something kind of mindless while you're watching TV with your significant other or children or whatever in the room. You just want to kind of be in the same room as them. Then this is good too, because then I can just kind of, what I've done before is I'll just kind of grab my little stuff, and I'll grab my glue stick, and I grab my book, and I'll just go sit on the couch. Or again, this is something that you can do. Actually, I have like a little TV tray that works really well for that. You could put it all in your little travel kit. There you go. Now you have a collage travel kit that you can take with you anytime and play with. And do that on the beach or whatever. I mean, wouldn't it be fun to be collaging on the beach? I mean, who says you can't do that, right? You can just collage a bunch of pages, and then you go back later and you add in some paint and stenciling, and it'll be great. And, you can do the messy stuff later when you get back to the store, or to home, to the store. That's where I live, at my store. But, okay. Now, I think I've talked about what to glue, how to glue. That's the basics. That's pretty much it. I don't think there's much else that goes along with collage. Once you get your substrate down, you can do whatever you want to do. You can, oh yeah, the sand would be a problem. You're right, as far as collaging. I'm thinking on the beach, I'm thinking like I'm sitting in a house on the porch, and I'm looking at the beach, and I'm not really on the beach. I don't really like the beach, even though we're kind of close to it. But, yeah. But, you can go back and, after you've collaged, you can add paint. This I didn't. These are actually painted pages that I made before I collaged, knowing that I was going to collage them. The class I was doing for this one, she actually goes back and paints over it. But I just liked how that looked so much that I didn't want to do anything else. Okay. So, let's see. Let me clean up this stuff a little bit. We will do a little bit of collage live. Live collage. I was doing this a little bit on Friday during my live for my mixed media menagerie thing, and I ended up, it was funny because I was just waiting. I had put some watercolor and then some salt on the watercolor to see, you get that mottled effect when you put the salt down, and I was waiting for the salt to dry, so I was just collaging stuff to this side while I waited for this to dry, and I was pulling from all of my papers that I have here. I was trying to pull the papers that were the warm colors, because that was what we were doing for the prompt. And so don't forget, post your pictures if you haven't already. You can join the Mixed Media Menagerie Challenge, and it is posted by tomorrow, which is the last Wednesday of the month, to be entered in the drawing for the gift card from my store, which is $30 from my store, or a ephemera pack from Laura Mixed Media. Laura, she's one of the artists that sponsors the Mixed Media Challenge. So I believe the prompts are something like pen, watercolor, salt, and warm colors. And you're supposed to, you can work in whatever substrate you want to work on. This is a Dina Wakley Journal, and it's a black one that doesn't have the denim, but it does have the burlap and the canvas and craft paper. And so this was one page that was watercolor paper, cotton paper, and one page that was craft paper. So I collaged this with matte medium, and you can see it's not shiny at all. Most of the other stuff that I have done is definitely very shiny. I don't know if you can even tell, but it's definitely not as shiny as thank you. So I tried to put in some quotes about sunshine and warmth, and I thought that was kind of fun. So that's the one I did last week that I did some collaging on, because literally I was waiting for this to dry. The salt didn't dry before I was done with the video because I was going on an hour, but managed to make this later. I went back and added the words later. So, and there's a video about that on my YouTube. You can go watch that if you want to. It's about an hour, so just be sure that you're ready to hang out or, you know, play with something else while you're watching it. Okay. We are getting close to our 30 minutes, but I'm just going to do a quick collage here. Yep, it did. It did a thing. Okay. So usually, oh, let me put my other glove on. Focus. Yeah, you leave your salted watercolor overnight. I should have. It's been a long time since I've done that technique, and I thought that it would dry, and I forgot you have to actually wait for it to dry because I'm not good at remembering to do things like that. This is the Dina Wakley Craft Journal. I like that it's so little. I think it's a 6x6. Where did I put the paper? 6-ish by 6-ish pages. So what I figured out too was I have a lot of these plastic envelope things that packaging that goes on that comes on a lot of craft supplies, come in this, especially like the Dina, if you buy the stencils and things like that, come in this kind of packaging. So of course, because I'm a pack rat, I saved these, and I know that there's something I can do with them. I save them mostly because they're not recyclable, so I think that there's something I can do with them. And I've seen Jenny Grant, when she does a ton of collage in her work, and she'll take something that's kind of like these sheets of plastic. I don't know where she gets hers, but she puts them in between the pages when she collages, because she goes on to the next page. And her books, you're literally gluing new pages into the book. And so she'll put the plastic in there as a protector so that the pages don't, because it won't really stick to the plastic. It won't permanently stick to the plastic or damage the page. So so I used this actually this morning. I was using it as my little palette for putting my gel medium on, or my matte medium. And then you can do it straight on the page if you want. It doesn't hurt anything to do it straight to the page. Oh, and you know what I like to do too is I like to sometimes put this. If you can put deli paper, but it won't necessarily not stick. If you put the plastic sheet, it won't stick. It will be less likely to stick. So I have no real plan. I'm just gonna kind of grab some stuff and stick it down for a few minutes here. And hopefully y'all don't mind. We can just relax and collage. It's so fun. And sometimes if I feel like my palette knife isn't really working, I'll just grab you can grab an old credit card. I have these promotional cards. You know, they send out those promotional credit cards in the mail. Another thing that I save. So I save those and I use them to scrape the paint or the collage medium everywhere. So my friend Sally sent me this box. She sent me a couple boxes of old papers, patterns, things like that. And so now I kind of have a challenge to myself to sit down and use stuff from her boxes specifically. And this might get covered up, I don't know, but that's what you have to kind of accept also when you collage, that a lot of times it's just a base layer and it might get covered up. But like I said at the beginning, it's really like, if you know it's there, that's the part that's important. You know that there's something there. Maybe when you're going back and you're painting over it, you decide that you can, oh, I really want to make sure I see that particular word. And then you can just paint all around it. And it's more about what you see around it and making that one piece a highlighted piece. So that could be really fun too if you go back later and add some paint. I thought I had to have paper that was designated as like my collage paper for under layers and my collage paper for the top layer. And you could do that too. You could say, oh, I really love this paper. I want to make sure I put this on the top. Some people paint first and then they collage, and so they know that their collage is going to be displayed or shown on the top. I don't always think about it. I started doing a lot more collage first and then paint, but I have a lot of books that are my mop-up books, and so most of my art journals are just mop-up paint books, which is funny because it's like someday I'm gonna have a journal that I'm actually like working in, maybe without making a mop-up journal. Probably not though. The nice part about the mop-up journal is it becomes your next journal. Like, you can use it and you know you already have all these backgrounds done. And so, I believe this is some scrapbook paper. So I set my timer for about 10 minutes. So we're going to see how much we can kind of do in a 10-minute time period here. If I'm not in the, oh, y'all need to tell me. I don't know, there's not a way to alert me if I'm not in the camera. So. That's better. I like collage. It's kind of relaxing. It can be really fun. You can put some music on, which is a lot of people say, you know, grab some music, or not grab, but put on your favorite playlist and jam out, you know, enjoy it. It doesn't have to have, this is one of those chances where you can let your inner 5-year-old just glue and have fun. And it doesn't have, there's no perfection. There is no such thing as perfect collage. I mean, there's amazing collage that can create an interesting design. Like, you can do collage that ends up being something beautiful later. I love this. This is deli paper that was kind of printed on, and it just melts into the page. I love paper that melts into the page. I haven't used any tissue paper yet, but maybe we'll get to that in a minute. You can add such interesting texture. I watched a class from Wonderlust, and it was really, the collage part was meant to be covered up. Like, you are purposefully collaging something in the background, applying it to the page so that later it just creates a ridge or a texture on the page. Oops, that's upside down, but that's okay. Oh, my kitty cat, he needs to come in. Kitty cat wants to come inside. He wants attention. So that's collage here. Let's see. We have about a minute. can do. I've learned too is that you can actually purposefully put stuff off the edges of the page. That creates such an interesting effect too. Don't worry about the piece fitting perfectly on that page. Because sometimes if it hangs over, it extends the art. It takes that and it pushes it past the edge of the page, which means, hey, there's more potential here. There's something else that could be, that could happen here. We don't know. What's your imagination say? It's like a cliffhanger. What does your imagination say is happening with this paper? So we started watching cat hair is the sexiest texture in your house. Yeah, I like, sometimes my art does have cat hair in it. He likes to jump up on the table. He came in here, but he laid down. So he does have a habit of jumping on my table. Although I think after he accidentally stepped in some paint and he did that little thing with his foot, where they wiggle their foot. And I think after that, he decided he doesn't really like to jump up here as much anymore. Or he only jumps up when he sees that the table's clean. Here's my timer. And so fun. I don't want to stop. Okay, I'll stop. Okay, so you can see after 10 minutes, and this is a small page, right? But 10 minutes, and I've got a pretty good amount of stuff glued down. I could still add more because there's still gel medium over here, and there's still some on the page that's actually still wet. It depends on if I want to actually cover up all that beautiful craft background or if I want to keep it. So I'll probably keep it and not try to cover up everything. Of course, it could get covered up later with paint. We don't know. That's to be determined. TBD. So, yeah, I think I'm going to wrap this up now. And thank you, everybody who's joined me today. Thank you if you're watching in the future on YouTube. And isn't that cool? Like, you can talk to yourself in the future. That's kind of neat. If you are interested in any kind of videos like this, I have more on my YouTube page. I post all my videos from Instagram and Facebook Lives over onto YouTube. They're not edited or anything. They're just my plain, pure live posted over there so that you can get to them all in one place at one time. But they're also labeled as to what I'm doing during the video so you can get an idea. So, yeah, thank you so much for joining me. And I hope that we can connect again on Friday at Facebook or next Tuesday at 9:30. Thank you so much. Have a good day, everybody. Now I have to figure out how to